Hey guys, welcome back to the Elevate HD podcast. This is episode 20, and today I am joined by Darren from FitX. So, Darren, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having
No
me.
problem. We've just been speaking a little bit off air, kind of about what we are going to speak about today, and I think it'll be a really good opportunity for Darren to talk through FitX both as a federation and as an expo because it is relatively new. Like I competed with them last year in 2022, but the last time I competed in 2019, it didn't even exist. So it is very new, and a lot of people might be wondering, what are the benefits of competing with FitX? What's the differences between FitX and other federations? I thought who would be a better man to do this than Darren. So Darren, do you want to talk about, first of all, where did the idea for FitX start? Who came up with the name of it, the idea? Where did it originate? Backstory.
Okay, no, that's fine. So although we weren't kind of present in 2019, it was definitely something I was planning from when was COVID? 2020, was it? So
2020,
yeah,
yeah.
it was probably the end of 2018 I'd started to plan it. And basically, ultimately, I'm a fan. So I'm a fan of, I mean, I like lots of different sports, but bodybuilding has always been kind of core central to what I'm into. I went to every body power from day one and got the VIP and queued up on the Friday and the whole thing. And that was my thing. And then luckily, about 4 years, 5 years into body power, I volunteered to start driving around the stars. That's how it all started. So like, there's me, and I've met my Phil Heaths and my Jay Cutlers like everyone else queuing up. I remember queuing up for Jay for like 5 hours. Then he had to eat, and then I still had to wait for another two. I was like the whole of Friday just to meet Jay, for him to just go shake my hand, and then I was gone. I was like, oh, brilliant. But like from a fan perspective, to be offered the opportunity to drive them around was phenomenal. Like it was Christmas for me. Like, and I do, and I think anyone who meets me knows I have got a passion for bodybuilding, and I do love it. So for me, driving around Jay and Phil and Dallas, God rest his soul, and Luke Sander, God rest his soul. It's sad, like we've lost so many of them, but right the way through to CrossFit stars like Jason Khalipa and World's Strongest Men like Brian Shaw. That's what I did every May for years, and I absolutely loved it. And as I got into that, and as I understood it a bit more, I was working with another federation as well, which I was working backstage with them from the beginning. And I met obviously lots of people who are now with us. Mike and Lisa, obviously, Mike and Lisa, who actually wrote the criteria for that Fed at the time. And, there's no one out there who knows as much as Lisa in that respect. So she's as a head judge, and then Mike as well. That the two of them are amazing. So anyway, I'm rambling. I watched body power decline, and I'll be honest, and I'm not bothered about the politics of it all. Like, the fact of the matter is, body power screwed up, and they are no longer with us. And they got very commercial, and I get it. I get all that, but they lost their credibility. And when I was in the bodybuilding scene, and some of my old training partners were like proper good UK bodybuilders, like really good bodybuilders, who have stood up there with the best. And kind of when they stopped going because it just went a different way. I think the tipping point for me was I had to chaperone Dana and Rob Bailey, and the guy working at the event didn't know who they were, so wouldn't let them in. I was like, mate, this is Rob and Dana, like, and he was like, I don't know that. I was like, can I see some ID? I was like, oh mate, whatever. And then the other time was queuing up for Kevin Levrone, who's one of my kind of all-time great favorites, as it is to many that I'm sure are listening. And the queue was bigger for the Geordie Shore cast.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this ain't right. Like, this ain't right. So anyway, I kind of thought, I wonder, could I do something not as big, certainly not as big from a budget perspective, because I'm just a normal dude who works, but maybe something on a smaller scale, but very credible. And that was it. And that was the kind of the seed that was planted. And I thought about it, and I looked at it, and it was ultimately just me thinking about it and what to do. And people used to say to me all the time, oh, you should start a clothing brand because you've always got contacts with these famous people. You're picking them up. Like Kai Green is in your car. Well, not my car. He wouldn't get in my car.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, like, I'd be picking him up from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And, you only have to get this T-shirt on him. And it, that kind of, you're going to be the next new Gymshark. And I was like, nah, it's not that easy. But anyway, so the thoughts were there for kind of a while to do something. And then I just kind of came up with it, and I made sure I booked it way away from Birmingham, even though the NEC is like 10 minutes down the road from me. But I didn't want to kind of step on Body Power's toes, because as much as I didn't know Body Power, I just didn't think it was right to put something in the same city. And I certainly didn't want to put it in the same part of the year. So I moved it to, we were originally September 27th of September in 2019. We should have happened. And that was the plan. And then I thought 220, 1920, something like that. Anyway, I can't remember now. But ultimately, it kind of grew into this thing, and it was like, right, well, the budget's this much, and I think we'll be okay with that, and I'll only need about $5,000. It was like, yeah, no, you won't. So then my business partner, Eamon, who from your fellow country, Eamon, I lived in Ireland for many years, as I've told you before, and me and Eamon went to college together. We did design and multimedia, and we hadn't seen each other for years. And ironically, we met at Body Power. Like, we didn't have mobiles. Like, I'm old. Like, back then, it was none of that. We just ran into each other at Body Power, and then we exchanged numbers and whatever else after that, and kept in touch a little bit. And I was going to get Eamon over to do some fitness stuff because he does lots of kettlebells, battle ropes. He's very not bodybuilding. And I thought, well, that kind of ticks that box. You can do that stuff for me. And then, like, a couple of days later, he said, do you need investors? I was like, oh, I don't know. I think I'll be all right. And he was like, have you worked out how much this is going to be? And I kind of sent in the business plan and stuff. And he was like, yeah, we're going to need a few more pounds. So Eamon came in and he was amazing. No one ever sees Eamon. Eamon's always in Ireland, obviously. He comes over a few times a year, but Eamon's great. And then I reached out to brands, and I just thought, right, well, I know there's a few brands that will get involved because I know them from working with these feds and stuff like that. But at the same time, I didn't want to go in and go to major sponsors of these feds because I thought that was a bit sly, really, and I didn't want to do that. So I tried to just go with brands that were away from any of that, and I did. And CMP were actually the first ones to come on board, and people like that. And then I reached out to Strom, and he came on board, and then Rick came in, and he's been involved since. And obviously, you see him doing the comparing. And Rick, his products are great, and he's very influential in the industry. And he brought a few brands on board then, and kind of it just grew into this thing. But the key was to make it, really, really credible. So everyone we announced, first of all, they turned up, which is always a good thing. But they're all credible athletes. They've all won things. They've all been at the top of their game, and that was really, really important for us. And also the brands. I get requests all the time. I'm not going to say every day because I don't get them every day, but a couple of times a month I'll get a brand, and they're just not very good. And they want to have a stand. And as much as you want their money to help pay the rent on the venue, I don't want a crappy brand there. So we make sure all our brands are good. And that was something with Body Power where they messed up with. There was just multiple brands. I remember there was one there. There must have been about 6 teeth whitening companies there. I was like, well, how many of these do you need? Like,
I remember the most recent one. It was just like CBD oil everywhere.
Yeah,
That's all you could see.
of it. Yeah, loads of it, and low grade stuff as well, and all that. And it's like, right, whatever. So yeah, ultimately that was FitXpo, and I thought at the time we'd have the bodybuilding federation that I work with. I thought that they'd just say yeah, but they didn't, and that's fine, whatever. I then kind of I needed a CrossFit guy, and I spoke to someone and reached around at MMA, and we kind of put these things together, and it existed, but obviously COVID killed it, and we were the first event that opened after COVID. So there was still a lot of hesitancy. So tickets weren't great, but it was all right. And the feedback generally was, it felt cool. It felt like Body Power how it used to be. Because my key was, if I sell you a stand, I'm a fraction of what the Arnold's and Body Power is. Like I'm literally a quarter of the cost. For anyone who wants to stand, there's 2 left. But we're so much cheaper. And that's because I always remember sitting in the van with Eric Schwartz, the CEO at the time of Animal Universal, massive bodybuilding brand. Many will know what that is. And I looked after Animal every year. They were probably my favorite gang of lads to look after. Evan Centopani and people like that, like cracking athletes, proper bodybuilders. And I remember having the convo with Eric, and he said, I won't be back next year, Darren. I can't do it anymore. Like, they were being charged for airspace above their stand. And like, by the time they gave away their shakers and the T-shirts and paid for flights and everything, it was thousands of pounds. And I was like, what if I did something, Eric? And I didn't charge you because you bring across the Animal Boys. And he was like, serious? I was like, yeah, I'm not going to charge you for space if you're going to bring over Evan and Roman Fritz and all these guys. There's no way in the world. So that was kind of how it started. And I thought, well, at least I've got one US brand. But then obviously COVID came and it threw it out of the way. From a bodybuilding perspective, I obviously thought at the time, naively, that bodybuilding feds get on, but they unfortunately don't, which is such a shame. But they don't, and it's crazy, but they don't. So we kind of said, well, sod it, we'll do it on our own. And Rick said he'd put his name on it, so the Strong Classic and sponsorship for the winners. Okay, fine. So we pushed that, and obviously my first point of call was getting Mike and Lisa on board. Would you like to do it? Yeah, the tanning girls that had left the Fed I was with, they wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to handpick some really cool judges. So at the time when we first started, Josh Maley, before he went pro, came on board. And then we had people who have been around for years, like the Dave Croslands, who's got multiple experiences. A lot of people don't know Dave's judged for a hell of a lot of Feds. We had people like Paul Scarborough, again, a judge for loads of Feds. But then we had some fresh talent coming through, like your own Jazz from Compact, who has been amazing. Like, she's like a sponge, and she soaked up that judging from Lisa and worked really, really hard. And she was like a breath of fresh air in the panel, because you had Grumpy Dave sitting there and Paul, who are very old school, very NABBA, WABA, like they've been around for years, they know their stuff. But then you had this new breed coming through. And that's what we've done with the judging, which I'll ramble on about shortly. But we've got that mixture. We've got people there that have been around for years, and then we've got this new blood that's coming in that's hungry. And so anyway, yeah, so that was FitXpo 1. And I learned a lot of mistakes, because I work full time. I wing it. I winged it massively year 1. It was like, I didn't realize how much these venues cost. It's astronomical. And then the AV packages and the hotels, when you're looking after all these stars, you have to put them in hotels, you have to pay their travel expenses and stuff like that. So anyway, FitXpo 2 happened, which was last year in Liverpool, again, both in Liverpool. And it was bigger. We kind of increased the footfall by about 20%, and it felt a little bit more organized and a bit more solid. But then this year then is the key to really making it work and learning from the mistakes I've made over the last couple of years and making it better. So we are on the 13th and 14th of May in Manchester. So we moved it to Manchester. Multiple reasons for that, but predominantly venue have just been really cool, like really easy going. And that's so important. Like, with all due respect, the Liverpool venue are a little bit Karen-y. There was a lot of issues. Certain venues are open to certain types of events, and other venues aren't, and that's just how it is. And in addition to that, then Manchester, a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to get to. Still up in the northwest. Again, part of the reason why I wanted up there, there wasn't ever anything up there, because Body Power was always Birmingham, and London have attempted a few events in the past, and they kind of haven't worked greatly. So I wanted to put it up the northwest. It's still not too far away from Liverpool for that audience to still come across. But we've already got brands that are from Manchester. CMP have played a big part in us. Blood Lab of Manchester, Full Bore of Manchester, Conti of Manchester. So, and I feel like there's a lot of gyms around Manchester that have been quite forthcoming with, because we do these promo days and stuff like that. So we're always in and about and going around to gyms. So I feel Manchester's good. But the CrossFit element of Manchester, the Rainhill Trials, is Manchester based, and they've been running their events for 8 odd years. They used to do Body Power, and they did really well. But they sold out their 480 athlete spaces for this May in hours, like no time at all. That's 480 athletes that weren't at FitXpo 2022 that are coming this year, and then you would expect them to all bring 1 or 2 people with them. So I'm really excited about that. Even though I'm not a CrossFitter, I did join a CrossFit box for a while, just because I think for me it's important to understand these sports. I had a crack at a powerlifting meet. Again, I was rubbish, but I had a go at it because I think it's important for me to know that. So I think the difference between me and the other Expo type organisers out there is that I've come from that background. I've done all that stuff. I've competed bodybuilding 3 times. I wasn't very good. I'll say that again, but I know what it's about. I've taught, I've walked the walk and all that nonsense. So I think that's why it transcends over to FitX, because I know as an athlete, an ex-athlete, I can't even call myself an athlete. I was shocking, Holly. We'll get some pictures up one day. They're shocking.
Love to see them.
Oh no, you do not. However, I'd like to think that I know what the athlete is going through and what it feels like. I remember my first time prepping, and this guy said to me, I've told this story before, big guy from around here, like big. He's only competed once as well. It's like, it's just such wasted talent. And he said to me, have you started crying yet? I was like, what are you on about? He was like, have you started crying yet? And I'm standing next to him on the treadmill thinking, this big beast of a guy. I was like, no, what are you on about? And lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, that was it. I was crying. I was just gone. Like 2 weeks out, dreaming of chocolate brownies, dreaming of scones. Scones are my thing. I love scones. And I just had no energy. And I remember going to the zoo and I was pushing the pram, and we'd only had Devon, like my little boy, and I had no energy. I was just like, I just wanted to give up. And I was like, what have I become? Like, what is wrong with me? But we've been there, like you've been there. We've all been there on them horrible days where you've got to get up to do cardio in the morning, or, you can't eat this food on a birthday, or you can't have your Easter eggs, or whatever else it is. And so I would like to think I know what I'm on about in that respect. And every other person involved with us, pretty much, with the exception of one of our guys backstage, so we've all done it. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to think we all know what we're on about. And it's so important, like, backstage for me, and I still work the backstage for us, because I think, for me, I completely trust my judges. And yes, not everyone agrees with judge decisions. It doesn't matter what fed you're in, that's life. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But I do trust them implicitly. So I leave them alone. I don't get involved in the scoring, because that's not my thing, and it shouldn't be my thing either. Like, if I run it, or why the hell, it's got nothing to do with me who plays where. I trust my guys. Rick's on the mic and he calls them through, and I make sure everything runs from the back, because from an athlete perspective, whether they're a first timer or a seasoned guy or girl, I want them to be comfortable and know that they've got everything. And I think, I'd like to think that people will say that about me backstage. I'm always running around like a headless chicken, but I make sure that it's on time, and I make sure that, I hope to make sure, and my team, who are phenomenal, make you all feel comfortable. And that's it. I think that's kind of answered your question. So the idea was that's what it became. FitXpo only had the one show, and it was only after a period of time that people used to say to me, like, why don't you run a Fed then? Because you've got the one show. The one show seems like it's working. Like, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But again, with all the politics involved in it, I was kind of a bit, I didn't realize it was as mucky in the background as it is, which is unfortunate for some. But I thought, you know what, sod it, I'm going to do it. And we did it, and we announced 6 shows season 1. And I just went to sponsors, and we came up with this thing of, because what I always found was, people always want to be sponsored, right? They want to be an athlete. They want to say they've got they're sponsored by whoever in their bio on Insta. And that's just the way it is now. It wasn't like that in the old days. I certainly didn't have Instagram and that when I was competing and prepping, which was probably partly a good thing, because you didn't know who was showing up and what they looked like. But we came up with an idea of, well, what about that the winners win this overall sponsorship with this relevant brand? And because the brands that we're involved with are really cool and really good and really credible. So, there was Supplement Needs down in Bournemouth, HR Labs, Cardiff Sports, CMP, Strom. They're all solid brands. And the same this year. So when people win that prize bundle or prize sponsorship or whatever it is, it's a really cool thing to be associated with. We're not giving you a crappy brand to be sponsored by, with all due respect. Like, there's loads of, I'm an ambassador code with 10% off this, and it's a crappy brand. Like, let's be honest. Whereas, you can't knock the likes of Supplement Needs to headline our South Coast show and stuff like that. So, and that's where it was. So yeah, year 1 was 6 shows, and then last year, what did we have? 11, 10, 11, and then this year we've got 15.
Wow.
So it's petrifying, but it's also really cool as well. So yeah, we are, what are we? 8 weeks, 9 weeks out of our first one.
And is that the first time, or is the first show?
So yeah, we've never done a first timer show before. And let's get it clear, I'm not a massive fan of a first timer show. Let's get that clear. I didn't aspire to do loads of first timer shows. I was with the relevant Fed when they came up with that, and I know why that's done. At the end of the day, if you're a first timer, you tend to bring more people with you. You do. It's a fact. I competed for the first time. There was tons of people that came to see me. None of them gave a monkeys about bodybuilding. They just wanted to see Darren in his pants on a stage with a load of other people in their pants. That's it. There was no care for bodybuilding. But from an audience perspective, for someone doing their first thing, whatever that is, whether that's your kid playing in his first football match, or your daughter doing a ballet concert, or whatever it is, you'll tend to draw a crowd to the first time someone does something. And being in the industry for a long time now, it tends to be your class 1 dude who turns up with his lunch bag and nothing else. Maybe his wife if he's lucky, but they tend not to bring loads of people. Some do, some don't. But ultimately, the first timers thing for me was never an ambition, but I just got sick and tired of, I'd ask a coach and I'd say, because you do, let's have it right. Like, I say to people, like, have you got any clients for this show? Have you got anyone ready for this? I'm not silly. You have to sell it a little bit, especially when you're a new Fed. And all I kept getting was, oh, well, they would do your show, but they're doing this first timer show. And
Mm-hmm.
they would do this show, but they're doing this first timer show. So why are they doing that? Oh, well, they think that if you do a first timer show, it's easier and all that, which it isn't, because if you're in shape, you're in shape. You know, you can't go in with the mindset of a first timer show with, oh, well, I'm actually 6 weeks out, but I'll have a crack. Like you want to show up and give it your all, right? But I thought, you know what? Let's try one. Let's put one on. Let's put it on at the start of the season. Let's put it in Birmingham, so it's in the middle of the country, so it makes it easy. Let's put it in a really intimate venue, because the Mac Theatre that we use in Birmingham, great venue, much smaller than some of our bigger ones. But again, to be less daunting for that first timer athlete of standing in this massive, like the M&S Bank Arena or something like that, that's huge. So yeah, that's April 16th, which is the first timer show. And then we are, the following one then is May, which is FitXpo. So yeah, our first show is our first timer show. Every other show though is not first timers, but they do have a first timers bikini and a first time bodybuilding category.
Yeah, what I've always been really surprised as he said, is like the standard of a first timer, because just because it's your first time on stage doesn't mean you've been training for a year. Like there's people who've been training for 10 years and have been waiting for this moment their whole life and step on stage. Like there are first timers that beat me last year. It doesn't mean anything, so don't go into it.
Yeah, like Manchester, you had Amber, who won her class, went on to come, I think, second in the overall, brilliant athlete. Down in Essex, Suki, who won. I mean, I think she won with every Fed she was with.
Yeah.
Lovely girl, Suki. So she won first timers. Then she won bikini. I'm sure she won 3. I'm sure she won bikini junior as well. And then went on to win the overall. I think that's right. And then she went on. I know she won a PCA show. I know she won an FM show. I don't know if she did 2 bros, but there's a girl who's just a first timer. I know Erin prepped her, but she looked fantastic and really good girl. But yeah, it happens. It does happen.
Yeah, I think people need to be aware of that. Don't just go in and be like, oh, I'll just like warm
yeah,
myself
no.
up. I'll do an easy show with the first timers. So there
I
were no first timers around when I started.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I think the benefit of this part of the year, I said the same to Jazz yesterday from Compact, was that if you are going to compete and you don't want to be daunted by a massive lineup, like the shows at this start of half the year are quieter. They just are. Mm-hmm. You know, you are more likely to be standing within a class of 2 or 3 versus like the Compact Classic. You know yourself, last year, like I've never seen a show like that ever in any Fed I've ever worked with. Like I had a little moment backstage. I was like, what the hell has this become? Because we had to split bikini into 4 classes, for God's sake. Like it was mental. I think we had 46 or 50 girls, just bikini only.
That's crazy.
Which I know we've split classes into short and tall before, but we don't call it short and tall. We call it 1 and 2 or whatever. But no one wants to be known as a short bodybuilder, do they? So we got rid of that. We call it class 3, 2, 1 because I don't like that. Well, at least they didn't like that. We all got together and we said, no, we'll call them 1, 2, 3. But yeah, with the bikini, we had to split it into 4. So like I said, it's a great thing to be part of if you're competing and looking for a show like that. But at the same time, if you are really conscious that you want to get in there and be in the mix for getting a top 3 place in, you got to be bloody good to stand top 3 in a class of 14, 15, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a finals lineup.
Yeah. And like what you're touching on as well, like competing at what part of the year, like, yes, the first half of the year is usually quite quiet. And in my first season ever, I did the first half of the year. But the problem is, especially if you're a first timer, getting through the summer is tough. So there are pros to competing at the start of the year. It's usually quieter. It's probably less intimidating, less overwhelming. But if your aim is to get to the finals, then it's probably not the best decision, because I know so many people that try to trudge through the summer and the hot and the summer holidays and the barbecues and everything, and they just cannot get through and persevere to the end. And I was on my first season, I was like that. I qualified for one of the British finals at Body Power actually in May, and I told myself I'm going to do it, and then literally a month out I was like, I am not putting my heart into this. There's no way that there's a point in stepping on stage again. So that's why the second half is so busy, is because everyone wants to get to the finals.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
So you have to kind of weigh up, like, is your aim to get to the finals? Because if you're not, then that's perfectly fine if you don't want to do them. But if that is the reason, then you may want to be a bit more strategic with which show you do.
Yeah, and I think, from my experience, I think going for the finals is, in my opinion, I think you should always go for that. And if you get an invite, I think you should always take it. It baffled me last year how many people didn't take it. Like,
I didn't take it.
No. And I was saying to Jazz, why is Holly not doing it? She nuts. I remember this guy won down Bournemouth, I'm sure Joe preps him. I can't think of his actual name. I know his name on Insta. I don't want to say that, but yeah, he's a big lump of a lad, cracking physique, and he won it outright. Boom, won the show. And I was like, I messaged him, "Are you doing the finals?" And there he is eating cake. He was like, "Nah." I was like, "Man, are you crazy?" But then there's some people who just don't want to do it because of what you said, and I get that completely. Like, it is horrible trying to hold condition, and you know, you got to go through family life and all that. Like, this isn't a professional sport at our level. Like, people have got to go to work. People have got to go out and dig holes and build walls whilst they're, you know, eating lettuce and dust. However, like, you know, there's also some people out there who just are always in condition no matter what. And and for them, one of our judges, Brett, I think he's done nearly 60 shows. Like, it baffles me. But then there are people that weren't doing the finals because they thought, oh well, I came third in this and he beat me in that, so there's no way I'll do it. But then on the day, he didn't turn up, he didn't turn up, he didn't turn up. So actually, if he'd have turned up, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
You never know who's going to be there. You really don't know who's going to be there. And also, you have time. We don't just invite top three. We don't do that. There's some classes we've invited one. And there was actually one class, I don't know when it was, we didn't invite anyone, even though there was a top three. But we invite, or Lisa invites, and again, it's all on Lisa. I stay away from it all. We invite you if we feel that you are worthy of standing on a final stage.
Mm-hmm.
We don't invite top fives, top sixes, top sevens, unless they are that good. You know, we could do that. And from a money perspective, oh yeah, let's invite top five in every show and then times that by 12 and law of average that half of them come and half of them don't. Oh, great. We're going to have 250 on the lineup for the final stage. But actually, no, let's get the finals really, really solid and try and get this standard up. So that's what we tend to do. But yeah, so we're 2 seasons in, ready to go now again. And yeah, it's exciting.
So you touched on briefly before about the judging and the differences. And what I have admired about FitX in particular are the judging seminars you put on, because that's something I've never been to before. And I know you have one coming up soon, but I went to the one this time last year in Birmingham. And I was really impressed because it is so different. Like, I've never seen it from the judges' perspective about what they look for. And it helped me as an athlete to know what to demonstrate because I knew what they were marking me on.
Yeah, defo. Well, hopefully you can make our one, because I know you've got your big physique collective on the 4th.
We do the seminar the day before, but it's in Birmingham as well. So
it's in Birmingham, yeah. I'd love you to come. You're more than welcome. So it's the 5th of March in Birmingham at Kingdom Gym, cracking gym. We're going to get some special guests down as well. Sass always comes to them. He's ace. I love Sass. One of my favourite pros. I think I've got a message Josh Maley to come down potentially. He normally shows up. Everyone's free to train. You know, that's on us. You don't have to pay anything to come in. We always do goodie bags and freebies and all that kind of stuff as well. So if you just want to turn up and have a bit of free stuff and sampling, we get a couple of brands down. But yeah, ultimately we'll do posing workshops. So we'll do male and female. We'll split them off. We've got people like Lisa, who that is the judge that is going to be judging you. So, and I'm a big fan of. There's so many posing coaches out there now. There's loads of them. But at the same time, understanding the Fed and what they're looking for is ultimately so important too. So yeah, we've got a posing workshop, and then we'll do the judging workshop. And so many people don't know how judging works. And even in the past, I've trained with people who are 10 times better bodybuilders than I am. I was a bit weird. I always had a really good eye for judging. I don't know why that was. I don't know. Maybe because I'm just obsessed with bodybuilding. I don't know. But I could always call it. So whether I was working backstage, I'd be like, yeah, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And then you see other people who were so much better at bodybuilder than me, and they'd be like, nah, that's first, that's second, that's third. And it was just way off. So what we do at our seminars is we kind of tell you how to just, and again, it baffles me how many coaches don't turn up who are giving us athletes, because it's really important that they know and they understand. You know, you're only as good as your weakest body part. And, you know, it's really important to understand little tips and little tricks, but ultimately what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And again, people get caught up in this, oh, well, they judge like this and they judge like this. Well, no. IFBB is exactly the same as UKBFF, as PCA, as anyone. It's the same. Every judge, whether the criteria differs slightly, we're all looking for a balanced, beautiful physique that's presented well. You know, we're all looking for an adequate amount of size depending on the class. We're all looking for a nice shape. You know yourself, you get people and you see them and they haven't got a very nice shape. And then others have just got a really lovely, pleasing shape. You know, we're all looking for condition applicable to the class. Some federations might judge it harsher in terms of like they want more condition. Others may look for a softer look, but ultimately it's a balance of those 5 elements. And we'll teach about those 5 elements and what's important. We'll also give you little tricks and tips and tricks as well, you know, of highlighting and not highlighting certain parts of your body as well. So really important to put these on. So like I said, our first one's then, we'll do another one, and then we'll probably do one at the Expo as well, and we'll do one later in the year at least. I think we're going to do one down in Wales just because Mike and Lisa, I'm always moving them all around the country. So, but we picked the Midlands because it's just, you know, it's centre of the UK, it works. The gym is wicked as well, Kingdom. It's a really cool gym. It's all kitted out with nice Pinata stuff. But yeah, we'll do more and more of them. But yeah, that's 5th of March.
Do you remember last year you had to lug my suitcase in through the turnstiles because I couldn't get it through because we had a photo shoot the next day, so I had everything packed, and you were like, "Don't worry, I'll do it." So you had to
I don't even
my
remember.
massive suitcase put through it.
I don't remember. I carry a hell of a lot of bags up stairwells in venues and stuff as
No, it's
well.
very useful. I appreciate
I always
it.
think all these bags. Like, where are all these bags?
Oh, when you're a female like bodybuilder, bikini girl, you have a lot of stuff. You're high maintenance. That's what I like to call myself.
I think what we should do this year is, I was saying this to Jazz yesterday on the podcast, that so many people forget things as well. I think this year what we'll do is we'll put a load of extra stuff backstage, like the rice cakes and that, because
That's a good idea.
well, I was at the M&S, it was the finals. I always remember, and it was Taylor, one of our disabled athletes, lovely girl, and she had a message off a coach to get some rice cakes, and she didn't have any rice cakes. And the poor girl's got one leg, like, and she's like, I'm like, you're not going to get to Tesco from here. Like, it's the M&S Bank of England. It's not near a shop. And you're on stage in 10 minutes. Like, first of all, it's too soon, really, for it to make any difference. But, you know, I think we should have a stockpile of stuff. But sometimes you see everything in the bags, don't you? But, yeah, we just try and make it comfortable backstage, have as much stuff as you need. We've always got hydration back there. Super, super important for me to have all that. We've always got a first aid team, always. Proper first aid team as well. I always remember an incident that happened at Body Power a few years ago with who's now an IFBB pro, and St. John's, God bless them, they didn't have a clue, because they don't know what people take in this sport, and
yeah, you don't know how extreme the measures are for them to get on
no.
stage.
And I knew, or I had a good idea what that person had taken or what they would have taken, and because of me being in this industry, even though I'm not a bloody nurse or a doctor, I knew what would counteract that and how it would help. And with St. John's, for all that they're there for basic first aid, they just didn't have a clue. So we make sure at all our shows, you've got Dave and Shoshana there with all the kit, and yeah, they know what they're doing. So yeah, we've got eval at all of them, and then we're having a blood lab show as well later in the year. They're on board as well. So yeah, we've got everything covered basically.
Yeah. And like going back to the rice cake thing, I remember I find it so hard last year to find unsalted rice cakes anywhere. So if you can find unsalted rice cakes, stock up on that, because obviously you want unsalted rice cakes so you can tweak your sodium like with actual salt. So I was getting confused because you only get slightly salted, and I had to track everywhere. Eventually find them a little. But if you had a pack of them or a few packs of them in reserve, that'd be really useful.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'll get that. Yeah, we've always got loads of stuff. We have Hydromax backstage as well for helping out, loading up on some liquids and sweets and all that nonsense. I've always got electrolytes and coconut water and stuff like that. So that's really important stuff. And again, a lot of people don't know that side of it, but it is important.
Yeah. And another thing you haven't mentioned is the free pass for a coach to go backstage, which is very handy.
Yeah. So what we did with, at the end of the day, we've said this from the beginning, is that without a coach giving us a chunk of athletes, then who are we? Like it doesn't work. So we have for the last 2 years done that, and we've, in terms of people coming backstage as well. So again, if anyone's listening and looking at competing with us, I don't care if it's your mom, your brother, your partner, they're absolutely welcome. All of them are welcome. I don't understand the whole, no, you can't bring someone with you backstage. This is a day when you are nervous, where you are unsettled, where you're frightened, where you're nauseous. There's so many different things going through your head. Some people are so calm with it or show they are, but then others, and the majority of people are worried or scared or whatever. Why the hell would I deprive you of taking your partner back there, or your parents or whoever it might be, as long as it doesn't get mental back there, and there's so many people back there, but we organize it well and we look after it well, then who am I to stop them going back? And again, it's weird that feds will charge an arm and a leg for someone just to go back. That's not my thing. Like we'll always remain that. We'll always remain in terms of we'll always let you bring back whoever you want to bring back. But yeah, it's coaches are important, you know, and we want coaches to bring us athletes. Of course we do. But at the same time, and again, this is me speaking as someone who runs a fed. I want you to compete for other feds. I want that. I want you to go and compete in a show next week and in a show the week after. And because if you're in shape, why the hell not? I would never, you know, tell you not to compete for them or not to compete with them. What's that about? And if someone is telling you that, I've got my politics hat on now, haven't I? You've got to question why they're telling you that. Because, like, hang on, aren't I the athlete? Aren't I the athlete paying you the money? And you're depriving me of that day? Because let's be honest, whether you win, draw, or lose, getting on stage is one of the most exhilarating and like it's an amazing experience. You know, for me, although I didn't win and I wasn't really any good at any of the times, I knew I'd worked my nuts off to be there, and I absolutely deserved to be there. And I was the best presentation of me on that day that I could have done. Why? And the feeling for me, it was always a test of character, like that very similar to like when I did the London Marathon. From not being a runner, I did it because I wanted to do it and see if I could do it, and I did do it. And obviously, I had my own personal reasons for that as well, charity stuff for my dad and stuff. But I have always thrown myself into stuff that is quite uncomfortable, and I think that's then helped me massively with things like this. Like there's me up till 1 a.m. last night stressing over this, over FitXpo here, but I couldn't have done any of that, I don't think, if I hadn't gone to those dark places and realized, yes, you can. Come on, you can pull it out, get your head together. And I think that's really important. So went a bit deep there, didn't I? But
that's okay.
I think that stuff's really important. So
we all have an underlying fundamental reason why we do this, and I think it stretches a lot deeper than just wanting to get lean for a show. I think there is a deeper reason for most of us.
Oh God, yeah, like absolutely. And at least I can look back and say I've done it. And yeah, and there's other stuff I want to do that I've never done. But yeah, I think it's massively important, and it's just so much more than just standing there and dancing in your pants. Like there's journeys that people come on, and we met some amazing people last year who all have their own stories to tell, and some people tell them and some people don't tell them. But it's nice because I'm dealing with them all the time. Like I get messages all the time. Can I do this? Can you do this? Is this okay? Is that okay? Can you play this track from this time to this time, and all this stuff? And I get some bizarre stuff, but I also get to know some really sad stories too about why that person is doing that show, and it's fantastic to be able to then allow them and help them on that day, you know. So yeah, I could write a book on some of the stuff I've known.
Yeah, and I suppose the same for me. Like I did 4 different federations last year, but I was really looking forward to the FitX Day because I kind of felt, although I had never competed with you guys, I felt like I was a part of the family anyway, because I'd been to both the Fit Expos, I was on the stalls, I'd been to the other shows, I was supporting, helping out, and I felt like I was already kind of initiated. So it just felt like a big family day. Like I knew everyone. I was everywhere I went, I was saying hello to everyone. It was the show that my parents came to, so I got to introduce them to everyone, and it was just like a really nice day. Obviously, Joe could come backstage with me. I felt supported all day long. It was just a really happy day. And I already felt kind of like I was used to it, and I've been there before, even though it was the first time I compete with you guys. So that's why I would always advise people, like, if you are stepping on stage, regardless of federation, like go to the seminars, go to the events, show your face, make friends with people, because no one bites. And it is nice then when show day comes that you're not just in a sea of strangers, that you have lots of friendly faces that are willing to talk to you and chat to you. So that was really nice.
Yeah, we do try, and we'll try and make it even better this year. You know, I'm just planning everything now as to. I actually just sent the t-shirts off to get printed now. Actually,
I still wear my t-shirt all the time. I love it.
Oh, they're cool this year. Yeah, I've gone through a different look and a different feel this year. So,
really?
But again, on the community vibe, it's actually very much about that on the design for this. That's what we've done. So it's quite clear that you're as part of it as we are a part of it. So that I hope that comes across in the t-shirt. I hope it does. But yeah, we kind of rebranded it a little bit for that. So yeah, they've just literally gone off to the printers this morning and that's the thing I'm stressing about now, because FitXpo is not that far away, and lead time and everything. Like shakers come from Germany, and you know, t-shirts come from Pakistan, like the printing stuff, and then we get them printed over here in Wales, and then like everything, carrier bags, you know, products from for our goodie boxes. Like we're doing this really cool VIP goodie box this weekend that will be posted to you prior to the event.
Ooh.
and there's such cool stuff in it. So it's getting it from all these different brands in time, and that's the stuff that stresses me out. But weirdly, I've got it in my head, all organized chaos.
When it all comes together, it is a very rewarding feeling. I know on the actual weekend you'll probably be running around like crazy as well, but I think it also helps because you're such a friendly and like outgoing person. Like people are always more than happy to chip in and help out and support you as well. So it's not like you're on your own.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
and
that
we got
sometimes.
I've got people. Yeah, we've got some great people on board. And someone said that at the Arnold's, like they said, we don't have like a you here. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, because it's just. I'm not saying it's just me. It's not just me because I do have people who help me. But in terms of every single brand that exhibits, I know who it is that runs that brand. Mm-hmm. I've got them in my phone. I voice note them. I answer my phone at any time because that's my baby. This is my baby. Whereas if you're dealing with a bigger company, I'm not knocking anyone else like the Arnold. Well, the Arnold's is gone, but effectively at that level, they don't have that personal touch because there's a sales guy and a sales manager and a sales director, and these people are all numbers who are just filling this map. Whereas with me, I'll be like, okay, what do you do? Okay, wicked, yeah. Well, actually, we've kind of got a few of them already, so I don't know if that will not work. Or yeah, that's really cool. We've not got any products like that would work really well. And I don't sell it to people. I don't hard sell the stands to anyone. I just say, look, that's how much it is. That's what we're about. Make a decision, have a think, come back to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me because I know the stands will sell anyway. Because A, I'm cheap, too cheap. But also, we're not massive. Like it's not 7 halls at the NEC like the Arnold's. It's, I've pretty much sold out of everything. I've got a couple of spots left, and then I know what'll happen now in the next few weeks. People will start to sniff around because you get brands who are like, oh, I'll look at it and then I'll think about it, and then boom, last minute. Whereas there's some people who've been signed up from last year. But yeah, it's cool having that personal touch with those people. I remember a couple of years ago because I was set up a WhatsApp group for all the traders 2 years ago, and I remember coming off a phone call with like the head monster guy UK, and I was like, do I add you into this group or is that a little bit beneath your pay grade? I mean, this is like some sales director UK who's on a lot of cash. And he was like, no, put me in. And you got people like that in a group who's running events for the whole of UK and Europe Monster. And then you've got this fella who's just got a little t-shirt printing business that he just wants to start up. And they're all bouncing ideas off each other. And that's really cool. Apart from the repeat questions of the questions that have been answered before, but apart from that, in the WhatsApp group, it's all pretty cool. So yeah, I do feel I'm personable. I think that comes across. There is that vibe of a family feel about it. It's always been about that being of a community. We're not going to afford Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger to turn up, so we're not going to get your mainstream guy there that has no care for lifting up weights and putting them back down again, but he just wants to be there to see this famous guy. But the people we have are really cool. Like, we've got the Stoltmans back this year, World's Strongest Man and his brother. We've got our education stage this year is amazing. We've got some cracking names on there. We've got Jordan Peters coming for the first time, doing an expo since 2018. So he's going to be interviewed on the main stage. He's going to be there. I don't know who he's bringing apart from himself and Corinne, but I know that they'll probably bring people. But that stand was a very popular stand at Body Power. So I'd like to think that will really help. He's a fountain of knowledge. The likes of Dr. Mike and Emma Story-Gordon and all the people we have speaking. Hopefully you'll do something with us. I know Jazz is doing something compact related. I'm going to ask the Physique Collective boys as well if they want to do something. So we've kind of got it all. Jordan Syat's coming over from New York again. Like, for anyone who didn't see Jordan,
I remember when I saw him wandering around, I was like, wait, is that who I think it is?
Yeah, he's got like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
He's such an absolutely lovely guy. And like he's a tiny dude.
He's really small.
He's got like loads of powerlifting, like natural powerlifting world records, Wow. He's like, he's an animal. But he is such a good guy. He got involved in all the panels. And yeah, really good guy. He was Gary V's PT. I don't know if he still is, but he was Gary V's PT.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's a knowledgeable guy, really good guy. Like I said, nearly 1 million followers on Insta and that. He knows his stuff. He'll be there again. Loads of people, too many to mention, but and many more to come as well. So yeah, it's going to be a cool weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Is it what's the venue called again?
Manchester Central. So it's called
I
Manchester
don't even
Centre.
know where that is. I'm trying to think.
Bang in the middle, like bang in the middle in the centre. I think the tram station's like right next to it. It's got like a roof, like a big greenhouse, a big glass roof.
Oh,
You've seen
okay.
it.
I probably have. I probably just haven't paid attention while I was on the
High
go.
Rocks was there last year. The big CrossFit event was there last year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. No, I'm looking
They
forward to it.
do events like ours. Don't have anything like ours, but they do. Tattooed and Strong is always there. Comic Con, stuff like that. It's a big event. Effectively similar to the last venue in terms of it's an expo center, but it's the only thing that's derailed it slightly this year is the Eurovision. I can't change that. That's BBC. I can't really do much about that. But the Eurovision Song Contest this year is in Liverpool on the same bloody weekend.
Oh, is it? Oh my God, that's
Oh
mad.
God, yeah.
I don't know
Now,
if you're going to have much of a crossover in
oh
attendees, though. Do you
yeah,
think?
you'd be surprised. This is what I
Really?
thought, Holly. So I thought, yeah, it's fine. But the thing is, I've had loads of people saying, "Why would you not change the date because the Eurovision's on?" I'm like, no, you can't just change a date for an event like this
No.
because there's 14 different competitions, right? That's 14 different lots of athletes that are there for their reason and their reason only. This guy that's competing for NFM doesn't give a monkeys about the world's strongest man comp or the English strongest man comp or the calisthenics comp. He's channeled into doing his comp, right? And he's invited his mom and his dad and his partner, and they've already booked an apartment. You can't then just suddenly change things. Every weekend there's things on all over the UK, whether it's bloody Crufts or whether it's a football game or whatever it might be. There's always clashes. But yeah, the Eurovision is in Liverpool. I did not understand how big it is. So the venue itself for the Eurovision is about 9,000, right? Liverpool. It's not massive, but it's big enough. But allegedly, this is what the tourism agency Manchester said, over 150,000 people travel in from outside the UK to have Eurovision parties on
Wow.
that weekend. So if you're Ukrainian and you're flying in to support the Ukrainian team, you'll have Ukrainian friends from the UK, and they'll all get together on the streets and have these parties. You'll get Lithuanians, you'll get Irish come over, the whole shebang. Even though I'm not a massive fan of the Eurovision, I remember watching it with my mum and dad with Terry Wogan back in the day, but it's huge. But now that doesn't affect tickets for FitXpo. Of course it doesn't, because generally they're going to be there singing rather than lifting weight. However, the hotel accommodation goes boom.
Yeah.
Because the demand, because Liverpool can't hold that amount of people, so people spill into other northwestern cities.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking at it and going, "Oh, I would go," but look at the price of things, they are high. However, they're only high in the city centre. So I know me. What we always do is have the venue right on the location, but we're not doing that this year. We can't do it. It's like 300 quid a room. It's stupid. And I've got a lot of rooms. Put it that way. We've got a lot of rooms on hold, over 40. So what we've done is we've booked a hotel that's a few kilometers outside, and we're going to kind of get people ferried in and out over the weekend. And for anyone that's watching that wants to come like that, there's loads of Airbnbs just outside the city centre, which are literally just a quick drive in or the tram or a taxi in or whatever else. So yeah, if you want to get a place directly in the city centre and that's putting you off, just go just outside. There's loads.
Yeah. What I would say as well is like, obviously it's really easy to get by train to Piccadilly Central. So look on the train line. Like I live one stop away from Manchester Piccadilly, so it's literally 6 minutes. It's probably easier than getting driving or anything like that. So look on the train either, because that would be really easy. And then there's loads of nearby, like really lovely, like suburban areas of Manchester that people don't really see all the time because they're in the centre. So look at places like Wilmslow and Stockport, where I am, and stuff like that. There's probably a lot cheaper to stay, as you said, and you probably get a bigger, better place with like a whole group of you.
Definitely, especially if there's a group of you. But also, some people come up for the day, and that's fine. But if you are coming for that weekend, just have a think about that. And a house share on an Airbnb might be a much better option. But yeah, look, it is what it is, and you can't change that. That's how it is. I go to London quite a lot. I love London. But I wouldn't drive into London. I'd get the train in because it's just easier.
I get the train everywhere. I find it so much easier.
I'm going to go to PerformX. That's a good one. I don't know if you're free that weekend. PerformX is quite a good event down in London. It's all speakers, all B2B. That's a good event. That's Paddy's Day weekend, actually. That's Friday the 17th. I'll be going to that. But that's a good one. But again, I wouldn't dream of driving to it. I just get the train.
Yeah.
And I think people have got to think about that for things like this as well. Even Birmingham itself, I know when I was with that federation, it was a bloody nightmare getting into the town hall because Birmingham is just a bloody
write-off. Parking is just chaotic around there.
It's horrendous, yeah. So we're trying, but you are going to get that with city centres. You are, but at the same time, it's part of the course. Like there's a reason why these events are in certain places. And I love Devon, I love Devon and Cornwall, but there's a reason why they don't have the NEC or the XL in Cornwall. Or you know what I mean? They're around generally higher populated cities, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And tell me a little bit. So, is it at the FitXpo that you have the FitX NFM collab show? Is that at FitXpo?
Yeah. Well, two of them. Yeah, so we're doing it twice. So I really like Suki. Me and Suki spoke a lot about stuff and doing stuff together. And believe me, it's a rarity that feds get on. It's a shame. It's a massive shame, but it is true. But me and him have always spoke about, okay, when's your show? Okay, let's move that. Right, I've got to show that. Have you got any dates booked for then? Because there's nothing worse than having shows on the same weekend.
Yeah.
I've noticed this year that both PCA and Two Bros are the same weekend for their British finals. Like,
yeah,
there's only who's going to lose out on that? The athlete's going to lose out because they're going to have to choose. So it's a shame. It really is a shame. So we try and make sure our shows are not conflicting. You can't do it every time.
It's hard. It's impossible to do all the time, but at least the bigger shows try to avoid it.
Yeah, but you don't intentionally put a bloody show on the weekend. Whereas, unfortunately, we have had that happen in the past.
That's terrible.
I think Bournemouth was our famous one where Two Bros put one on in the field on the same day. Like, come on. Like,
wow. I remember that field show so well.
It was dreadful. But they only messed themselves up because the bad press they got from that. Like, we had this cool venue. One of them was too expensive, that venue was, but it was amazing. And then they put a show on in the field. It's like, there's no other reason why you put that on other than just to piss us off. But it is what it is. But yeah, so Suki will be Saturday. So NFM Conti Classic will be Saturday. And then Sunday will be the FitX Strong Classic. And that's really cool. So also we'll have an option where if you want to compete in both, you can, because you're in shape. Why not? You're already up. You've already got your makeup. You've already got tan, all that shebang. So you can do that. And then later in the year, which I'm really excited about, is the 5th of November, that full-on collab show, which is the Night of Champions, which no one has ever done that before.
That'd be very cool.
It's just cool. It's just like, in the day, everyone can compete. So you just pay to register to compete. Anyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. But the night show, the Pro-Am show, will be, if you are a pro with any of the other feds, obviously IPB won't let you, but in terms of NFM or PCA or whoever else, if you're a pro, you're allowed to enter that. Mm-hmm. And also if you've had an invite at our British finals. So if we feel you're good enough to go to that, and it's 2 weeks after our finals, it's 3 weeks after the PCA and Two Bros finals, it's a week after Suki's last show. So in terms of being ready, that's a hell of a show to go in. But then every penny from the prize money pot, because we're going to have some headline sponsors for that show, will all go towards those pro classes. So they should walk away with an equal chunk of boys and girls, everyone the same as well. It won't be like more for the bodybuilders or whatever else. We'll just give an equal amount across. And it'd be a nice, different and new thing. But more than anything, it's showing that, look at these guys, they can work together. Isn't that a novelty? But that's massively important. So yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, you might start a trend of everyone actually getting along, which would be lovely.
Well, we won't start a trend. It'll only be us that do it, but that's fine. But it's a shame, but it is what it is. But long may it continue. I think it'll be a really cool day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being a supporter this year. I really like supporting the shows when I'm not kind of frantically trying to get on stage.
You'll compete. I know you will.
Not this year. Definitely not this year. Next year, I'll get back up there. But this year, I need to work on what my judges' feedback was from everyone and start actually putting it into practice.
What do you need to do? What do you think you need to do? What was the overarching feedback?
Not one person ever complimented me on my glutes, so that definitely needs work. And my delts were strong, my quads were strong. I think I needed to be leaner for my first couple of shows, so I did get leaner for the next two, and I felt like that was better conditioning. But just still, like every year, it's like a rat race. Like every year, bikini gets bigger, so you no longer are big enough for bikini, and it's just like rinse and repeat. So I just need to try and match up to all these people coming up who are 8-9 years younger than me, who are bigger than me. But yeah, just continually working on myself.
But that's what it is as well, isn't it? And I think unfortunately now people think that like they get involved and they're coming to you in the gym and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that, and you think it's a long road. Like takes time.
Yeah, I've been training now for like 7 years and I still feel like I'm new to it,
Yeah, and it's just like practice, just practice. I always remember I said this yesterday on the podcast with Jazz as well. I keep referring to that, but there was an old training partner I used to train with, a brilliant bodybuilder, very good. He's won overalls with nearly all of them, and he's done the universe. I think he came second in the universe. Pete Lawson, if anyone's looking for him, big class 2 guy. You score up against Josh Maley, Max O'Connor, Shane Cullen, your own Shane Cullen from Ireland, Dean White, same class as them boys. And I always remember, I haven't seen many people that have his fluidity with his transitions, just beautiful. And he would just practice. But he did so many shows with so many feds. And do you know why he did it? And he always used to say, because he loved competing.
Yeah.
He didn't go, oh, I can only compete with this fed, or I can only compete with this fed. He went, I'm in shape, sod it, I'll do one. And he'd jump into every show you can think of, even some small little town hall shows. He wasn't bothered. When I say like village hall type, like little shows right the way up to universe stage. But his fluidity and his transitions was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And people neglect that. People don't think that. They get this polished physique and they then literally spend 10 minutes on a routine or whatever else, like polish it, like, get it right. Let's draw, like your eye was always drawn to Pete.
Yeah.
And, so if anyone doesn't follow him and have a look at what he's about. But yeah, his transitions were beautiful. But you've got to enjoy it. That's the main thing. Like, do it. I want you to compete. If you want to compete with Two Bros, even though you're not going to win a pro card, but you want to do it, then bloody do it.
Yeah.
If you want to compete with that fed, do it. If you want to compete with that fed, do it. If you're in shape, do it. I would never detract you from competing. It's a short time. Like, you want to get a show when you're in shape, just crack on, do another one, and then have that off season you need, or give up on it completely, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, if you're not loving it, then there's no point.
Yeah. And I always say to people, like, if you're not gunning for a pro card or not yet anyway, just have fun, have an experimental season, try all the posing styles, try all the federations, all the criterias, and just enjoy it. That's what I did. I did 3 different types of posing this year, just for the crack. I had 3 different posing coaches, because I just wanted to try every single style. And it's really fun. Just have a great time.
Exactly. And that is what it's about. At the end of the day, that is what bodybuilding is about. And, it's a journey. It is a journey, and it takes time, and it is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's just mad how many people think, oh yeah, I'm going to be pro. Well, you haven't competed before. Like what's under
you need to do the time most of the time.
Yeah, and you've no idea as well until you diet down what you look like under there.
Yeah.
You don't know what you look like. I mean, Terry Hollins competed for us. That was one of my like fanboy moments. This is like a strong man who's been on TV, who's won Master Strongman, and ironically, his legs were his weakest body part. When he actually dieted down, he still had a cracking pair of quads. Don't get me wrong, I'd take them any day. But to the level of what you would expect underneath that, but you wouldn't have had that clue until he dieted down. Lovely guy, Terry is, and he's got, he's plugging away and he's doing more with it. But yeah, it was weirdly his legs that were the weakest part. And I know he's had a few sessions with Mike and Lisa down in Wales. He's done a few sessions with them, and they've beasted him round. Which they'll do. If anyone hasn't had a session with those guys, please do, because they will batter you. I went for a leg session with them on a Monday, and I drove all the way down from here, which is like 2 hours, just to train legs. I think it was over in 25 minutes, and I couldn't walk. I was just,
oh my god,
I'd
be terrified.
But they're just brilliant. They just know what they're doing. And no, it wasn't aggressive or any of this. Like, you see them on Instagram, like 4 people shouting at you and getting the sit bucket. It wasn't any of that. Everything was controlled. Everything was guided. Everything was calm. But she absolutely got absolutely every ounce of energy out of you for that rep. And, facilitated the growth, allowed the muscle to be stimulated, ready for the growth. And that's what it's about. And everyone now, it seems like it has to be a 2-hour session and everyone's shouting at you to get the reps up. No, like she was there with me and we got it done. But yeah, that kind of, to go and have a session with her is really cool. If you haven't done already, it just teaches you to train differently.
Put it on my bucket list for the year.
Yeah. Do it at FitXpo. They always put 2 people for a session over the weekend. Put your name down.
Yeah, because that's where I did it, is in the layer that I did my seminar, and I talked people through a training session, didn't I?
Yeah.
If
back in the day at Body Power, the famous one was always when she put Jamie DeRigo put through one. He did one at FitXpo this year as well. He was there, but I know I watched the one at Body Power, and they just, the sweat dripping off the guy. Jamie, she said, actually, I think Jamie, of all the people that she's ever trained with and trained, I think Jamie, she said, was the one who worked the hardest of all of them.
Really?
Yeah. He just doesn't give up. There's a few. I know. Remember Rich Gazecki? He was amazing. Like, in terms of, just training like the intensity that train at. Some people just don't understand what training at that level is, and Jamie was one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rachel as well. Rachel, one of our judges, she's very, very good at training. Like, just doesn't give up. There's lots of people out there, I'm sure there is, but yeah, get in with Mike and Lisa, and they'll throw you about.
Right, guys, there's your task for the week. Get in with Mike and Lisa for a training session. So where can people find you? How do they buy tickets to FitXpo? What do they do if they want to compete in FitX? Tell us all the call to actions.
Just go to Instagram. So we've got 2 Instagram pages. We've got FitXpo, FitXpo, and then we've got FitX, which is FitX. They're the 2, and in the bio, all the links are in there. The registration links are in there. The tickets are all there. Early birds all gone now. We sold out of them last month, so it's normal sale now. Please buy tickets. Please come along and support us. And yeah, that's it. I don't have a personal Insta or any of that. I do have one, but I've never ever activated it. But people tag me in it a lot, and I'm like, I don't have it.
No thanks. Instagram's work only, and then I put it away.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I can't deal with it all. It's I do it for work purposes only, really. But yeah, it's going well. It's going well, and yeah, just come along and have a wicked weekend. And it's not just for people walking around carrying carpets. Like, it's not. It's for people that, if you want to be inspired, if you want to be, enlightened, if you want to learn some cool things, if you want to walk away and feel educated, and with loads of free stuff as well, because we will make sure that we've got loads of free bits going on, and you get your value for money. Then definitely come along.
Yeah, and I can vouch because I've been to the first 2. That is well worth going to, and you meet lots of people and make lots of new friends, and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, loads of people who came, like, they were like, "Oh, I don't know if I can go. I don't really have any friends who are into this. I might go on my own." And they've then gone on and met people. Loads of people that we know that have gone and met other people then the following year and stuff like that. It's mad.
Well, let me tell you, if I didn't go to the first FitXpo, I wouldn't necessarily be part of the Physique Collective, because that's how that all started. So, things happen, networking happens, and things happen that you don't expect.
Well, like Molly, do you know Molly, right? Compact Molly. I won't say who by, but Molly was told to not compete with us. Don't compete with them because blah, 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 blah. And you won't win and you won't place and da. Anyway, she went on and she won the Compact Classic. She won the overall. She got a sponsorship with with Jazz. And then she volunteered to be a judge, and she's just like a breath of fresh air as well. And she came on board and has been a really solid judge. And then now she does posing full time with Eddie Fed, like not just with us. She does her own thing, but again, it kind of changed her as well. And there's loads of stories like that, which are lovely. It's lovely to hear that. And we get that all the time. So yeah, be part of it. Do it.
Yeah, great opportunity. So yeah, hopefully that answers everyone's questions about what FitX is and FitXpo. And if you do have any more, I'm sure Darren would love you to slide into his DMs. I'm sure he doesn't get enough. So feel free to drop him a question. Or if you have any questions for me, because I've competed in FitXpo in FitX myself, and I've been to both FitXpos, working on the stalls. So I've had the full share and the full experience of it. So feel free to ask me if you are nervous about attending on your own, because I went to my first body power by myself. So I know what that feels like. But it might be a stepping stone for something new and exciting. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening, and thank you, Darren, for coming on to the podcast. If you guys did enjoy it, please take a screenshot, please share it to your story, please tag myself and tag FitX and FitXpo. We would really appreciate it. Any suggestions for further sorry, go on.
No, I've just completely cut over you. Should we do a little giveaway for people that do?
Do. Go ahead. What's the giveaway?
I've got loads of stuff. I'll give them some tickets, weekend tickets, and a load of stuff, t-shirts and tubs of stuff, whatever, for the 2 people. Yeah, let's just pick a couple and we'll give them some free weekend tickets and stuff if they tag us all and all that nonsense.
Okay, guys, if you want some weekend tickets and tubs of stuff, tag me, FitX and FitXpo, share it to your story, and we'll pick 2 winners to get the prize. So thank you very much. That's very, I've never had a prize donated before.
Oh yeah, if you ever want to do that, yes, I get loads of bits and pieces. All the stuff's arriving now for the box and stuff, so we've got a few bits.
Great incentive for everyone to plug the podcast then. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, any further suggestions of topics, guests, anything at all, please feel free to slide into my DMs. But until next time, thank you very much for listening, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.